Preparing for a crash, Warren Buffett has been selling off hundreds of millions of shares in 2024, Michael Snyder reports. Warren Buffett did not become a billionaire by being stupid. According to Forbes, Buffett is worth more than $144 billion, and that makes him one of the wealthiest men in the entire world. He made his money in the stock market, so why is he now putting money out of the stock market at a feverish pace? Does he anticipate that a crash is coming? Earlier this year, Buffett shocked the investment community when his company sold off half the Apple shares that it was holding. Warren Buffett, the legendary investor known as the Oracle of Omaha and Fireball by his father, is famous for his smart investment choices. So when it was revealed that his company, Berkshire Hathaway, sold half its Apple shares, many investors were puzzled trying to understand what it meant. The number of Apple shares that Berkshire Hathaway has dumped is absolutely astounding. It's been reported that close to 500 million shares were sold during the first and second quarters combined. In the first quarter of 2024, Berkshire Hathaway sold over 100 million Apple shares, and in the second quarter, they sold an additional 390 million shares. More recently, Berkshire Hathaway has been selling off Bank of America shares. Warren Buffett's Berkshire Hathaway has trimmed its stake in Bank of America, opens new tab once again, making it the total sales since mid-July nearly $7 billion. The conglomerate, run by one of the world's most revered investors, disclosed late on Thursday it sold 18.7 million shares of the second largest U.S. bank between September 3rd and September 5th to rake in roughly $760 million. Buffett's moves look like quite savvy based on what has been happening so far this month. In fact, we just witnessed the worst week for the S&P 500 since March 2023. The S&P 500 dropped Friday, notching its worst week since March 2023, as investors assessed the fallout from a weak August jobs report and ditched leading technology stocks. Will this week bring even more pain? Right now, investors are concerned that the economy may be slowing, and those concerns are bolstered by Friday's employment report. As Zero Hedge has noted, that report told us that the U.S. lost a whopping 438,000 full-time jobs last month. Starting at the top, while the number of employed workers did rise by 168,000, looking closer at the composition of this increase is disastrous. That's because it consisted of an increase of 527,000 part-time jobs, offset by 438,000 plunge in full-time jobs. This means that since last June, the U.S. has added just over 2 million part-time jobs and lost over 1.5 million full-time jobs. If you want a low-paying part-time job, it's still fairly easy to find one, but good-paying jobs have been rapidly disappearing. The president of a firm that finds positions for white-collar workers says that the market is in bad shape at the moment. Economists largely agree that the labor market is cooling, but one recruiting industry veteran says that is a significant understatement. Brian Howard is the founder and president of the Howard Group, a boutique search firm located in Overland Park, Kansas, that has been in business for more than 30 years, with companies hired to recruit candidates in an array of white-collar positions. He said the job market is in bad shape, quote unquote. I would say that bad shape is quite an understatement. Earlier today, I came across an article about a man with an MBA, that's Master's in Business Administration, that has been unable to find work even though he has applied for more than 1,500 jobs. Marshall Quinones, 48, used to have few problems getting jobs in the 1990s without a high school diploma. Now, after what he estimates is over 1,500 applicants since the early 2010s, he can't land any stable job in this field, even with an MBA. Quinones, a father of 4 who lives in rural eastern Pennsylvania, said he's struggling to land a long-term job in tech or counseling. He has held part-time positions and built his own inventory software to sell to companies, though he rarely gets interviews, even after redoing his resume 24 times. There are so many people that are looking for work right now. For many Americans, low-paying part-time jobs just won't suffice because the cost of living just continues to go up. Thanks to the rising cost of living, the percentage of U.S. households with children that are food insecure has risen to a very alarming level. Now the inflation crisis under the Biden-Harris administration has intensified this issue even more. It was especially families with children that suffered during COVID-19 as school lunches disappeared, and they have been hardest hit again in 2022 and 2023. As Statista Katarina Buchholz reports, the USDA just published its latest report on the issue, showing that last year almost 18% of households where children lived were food insecure, up from 17.3% in 2022 and 12.5% in 2021. In a lot of those households, at least one adult is actually working. But in many cases, there simply is not enough money coming in to ever cover the basics. At this point, working Americans have so little discretionary income to spare that even dollar stores are really struggling. Dollar Tree stocks plunged to a 9-year low earlier this week after the chain delivered a disappointing earnings report. Earlier this year, the company announced it would close 600 Family Dollar stores in 2024 after it struggled to integrate the chain into its business. Dollar General, which is the biggest dollar store in the U.S. and is located mostly in low-income rural areas, also reported dismal sales last month and saw its stock plummet. And this is where we are at now. And since our leaders simply refuse to stop wildly spending money, it's inevitable that the cost of living will just continue to go up. Our standard of living has been absolutely eviscerated, and it's because of decisions that have been made by those in positions of power. If our leaders had made different decisions, we could have gotten different results. But now tens of millions of U.S. households are deeply hurting, and much more pain is on the horizon. Warren Buffett is clearly concerned about the short-term future. He's been dumping hundreds of millions of shares, and it appears that this could end up being one of the best moves of his entire career. This is by Michael Snyder on the Economic Collapse blog. Please leave your comments, and thank you for your support. This is by Michael Snyder. About the author, Michael Snyder's extremely controversial new book entitled Chaos is available in paperback and for Kindle on Amazon. He's also written 7 other books that are available on Amazon, including End Times, 7-Year Apocalypse, Lost Prophecies and the Future of America, The Beginning of the End, and Living a Life That Really Matters. When you purchase any of Michael's books, you help to support the work he's doing. You can also get his articles by email as soon as he publishes them by subscribing to his Substack newsletter. Michael has published thousands of articles on the Economic Collapse blog, End of the American Dream, and the Most Important News. And he always freely and happily allows others to republish those articles on their own websites. These are such troubled times and people need hope. John 3:16 tells us about the hope that God has given us through Jesus Christ. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish but have everlasting life. If you have not already done so, we strongly urge you to invite Jesus Christ to be your Lord and Savior today. Finally, support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.